Hello, everybody. Thank you for being on this episode of Millennial Motive. Today we have a really special guest here, two of them actually. We have Maria and we have my good friend Ryan as well. And so what I want to go ahead and start with is I want to start with allowing them to tell you guys a little bit about what it is that they do. So right on ahead.
We are opening up our own coffee shop soon. So I guess we're entrepreneurs in that way.
Yeah. No, we got Bound Coffee Co.
Bound Coffee Company.
Right. Is that off the 101 in Oceanside?
It's off the 101 in Oceanside right before Carlsbad. It's a new building or not a new building, but a newly remodeled building.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to...
Just a little bit of background. Like, we have an office space currently in the office, and you guys, we met you through Leap Coffee, literally about 20, 30 steps from us. Like, I go there all the time, cold brew, and I don't even know how we started the friendship. Kind of just started talking. I was in there every day. You're like, you're in here every day. What's your name?
Yeah.
Kind of just we're shooting, just going at it, and then we hung out. We just did a podcast with Dan over at Arcana, and we were just getting to know each other, and we have a lot of similar motives. So like we lined up, and everything kind of just aligned. So I appreciate you guys coming here.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Sharing your story. So what got you into coffee? Let's just say that.
Let's start with that. So what got you guys into wanting to, get into coffee in general?
Well, for me, I've been in coffee for about 10 years now. Started off as just a job, and then kind of just, turned into a passion, I guess. And since I've been in it for so long and I've seen so many things kind of come and go, I kind of wanted to just end up doing my own thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take all the experiences that I had, good and bad, and then create that for the guests and for the employees too, because that's one of the important things too that we want to do. We want to change with Bound is the way that employees are treated from the top down.
Right. So would you say that you guys' love for coffee started at a young age, or was it something that you kind of just, what you were saying, you kind of just stumbled into it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cultural thing for me and my family. My family's Serbian, so we kind of grew up doing Turkish coffee, stuff like that. So, I mean, from a young age, I always drank coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah, always.
Oh, yeah. I hated coffee.
Really, really strong coffee.
I hated coffee as a kid. I just remember having coffee at an AM, PM. This is gross. Oh, there's just sugar. You can add sugar and cream. Let's just have 90% cream and sugar, and then just add a little bit of coffee to that. And that's...
Yeah, I mean, I
had... What about you, Maria?
For me, it's the same. I started in coffee when I was about 18 or 19. And it was only because I had just moved out and I just wanted a job. Coffee is also a very cultural thing for me. I'm Colombian, so same thing. I've been drinking coffee since I was really little. I think, I don't even know when it even started, but it's always been a cultural family together kind of thing. It wasn't really I don't have the energy, I need coffee to wake up. It was more just enjoying it and with the people that you want to enjoy it with. I took a few coffee jobs because I knew that I liked coffee, and I didn't really think much of it because I didn't really know how complex coffee can be. I learned a lot through it, and I just kind of want to keep learning more.
Right, and then here you guys are now. You guys are opening up your very own coffee shop.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us about what that's like opening up your own coffee shop. What made you guys transition from, working, at someone else's shop to going, you know what, we're gonna take the plunge and just open up our own.
Yeah, I think for me it was kind of just the experience that I had with the higher ups. Basically, there's a lot of negligence. There's a lot of not really treating your employees really, really well, cost cutting on things that you shouldn't be cutting cost on, and just an overall just neglect of the actual customer and employee experience. So for them, it was just about just making money. How do we make money? How do we make money? But in the end, you kind of lose out on that because you destroy the entire experience.
Yeah.
So you just keep doubling down, okay, maybe I'll increase prices, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, but they don't work because the overall experience for everybody, from the employees to the guests, is just not good.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of underestimate coffee, and they think that, oh, I'm just going to open a coffee shop and it's going to make so much money, but they don't realize like what actually goes into it and like how much people really care about it. So like the problem that we were facing is that like things like the quality of the coffee and milk and all that stuff, like it's not, you can't really compromise it when you want to like keep going on in a certain path. So I think that our kind of approach to it is to coming as people who have worked at the very bottom and kind of made their way up, rather than just like, oh, we have the money, so we're just going to open up a shop.
Right. Customer service oriented, and I think that's a lot of different business owners that come from that employee background, seeing their managers and learning from their mistakes and saying, I can do this better. I know I can do this better, and I'm going to prove it. And not a lot of people follow up on that, and it takes a lot of bravery and courage to take that leap and be like, you know what? Let's do it, and I think that's really commendable. One thing that we didn't mention is that you guys are newly engaged. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
And you guys are opening up a business together, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a romantic. These guys were romantics.
Hopelessly.
Hopelessly. Let's tell us the meet cute. How'd you guys meet?
Yeah.
The whole story.
Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, we obviously met in coffee. I was hired at the same place that obviously he was working at, and I came in and I was all nervous because I'd never really had a job before. I was like nannying, but I mean as a job is like, oh, you have coworkers and stuff like that. So I didn't know what to expect with working with other people. And I was just kind of sitting there waiting to be like, okay, like we're ready to like train you now. And then he came over and offered me a drink. It was like a
for free. He was like, wow, she's coming, give her a free drink.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was called the Village Vanilla Caramel. It was like a blended drink, kind of like a frappuccino. It was really good.
I bet he didn't remember what kind of drink that he got you from.
I totally did.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, he trained me the most, and I remember like being so nervous because he would like act all like serious and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then he would tell me like anytime you mess up a drink, you have to drink it. So I would have like the stack of like 6 drinks, and I'm like, holy shit, I have to drink all of this, and I would be drinking it. And then he came over and he's like, you don't actually have to like drink all of this.
But you guys are gonna treat your employees right and bound, right? You're gonna
by forcing him to drink all the time.
How many drinks in did you realize that you don't have to drink it? Like, was it 2 or 3 drinks in, or how far in? Or just
I don't remember because
it
was definitely a few. Because I mean, like I said, like I like loved coffee, but you know the coffee that I was drinking at home was just regular drip coffee, whatever my mom would make. So I didn't know like anything about steaming or like I would like forget like a syrup, or I would forget sometimes I would forget like the coffee or something. So it's like it was just a lot of stuff that I felt bad dumping in.
So based off what you're saying, Maria, Ryan was your manager when you guys met? Is that what that was, or were you another employee, Ryan? Or?
Yeah, it kind of was. I was off and on as the manager over there because at that time I was kind of working on a different business. So for me, I didn't really want all of that responsibility,
right?
Because it took a lot. So I was, and then I got, I guess, demoted, and then somebody else kind of took over, and then actually eventually Maria took over.
I became manager.
Oh, wow.
So the roles definitely switched there.
Yeah, I mean, she was very qualified, so.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think taking on that position and working as the manager there for like a year and a half or something, I think that after experiencing all of that, because pretty much anything that you can think of that could possibly go wrong, like, I had to deal with it. So after going through all of that, I felt like, you know what, like, I don't really want to work for anybody anymore. I kind of want to work for myself.
Right.
And I just figured that in coffee, there isn't, like, I felt like there was just so much that you could go. you can be a manager and all that stuff, unless you are going to be like super specific, like in roasting and stuff like that. Like I just knew that it was either kind of like doing my own thing or just kind of looking for something else to do.
Yeah.
But I really loved coffee, so I wanted to stick with it.
I think it's cute and it's really funny that you guys have coffee as your foundation, and it's kind of going to play a role
From a
in
young
your
age,
lives,
yeah.
from a young age, from birth all the way through into you guys getting engaged, meeting, and then getting engaged and marriage, and then opening up a business. Coffee is going to play a role in your lives.
We're on that coffee train. We're going hard, man.
Hey,
yeah, I mean,
caffeine's gonna help.
And even though like I had that manager's position, like he was helping me the whole time because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, this was like my first job, and I was just kind of thrown into this position, so I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he helped build you up when it comes to knowing a little bit more about what it means to, roast the coffee and all that stuff.
Yeah, so then, and a lot of couples, like, they can't work together. So through that, like, year and a half, we realized that we actually do really good together. And, we can kind of keep ourselves in check without that kind of affecting our
without
personal...
any, like, confrontation on the personal front.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're good at separating, like, the business and personal side. I mean, we know that it's not personal. It's just sometimes you gotta check each other.
Right. You can work together. You can live together.
You can live together. You can be with each other.
Because this is a different kind of stress. You're dealing with different people and different like outside conflicts coming in and affecting you together. Like just working in the food industry and the beverage, you're going to deal with just the rush, and when the rush comes in, if it's not a well-oiled machine, it's going to be a problem, and then you're going to get pissed off because this person's not doing what they need to be doing right then and there, and to be able to separate that from at home being together.
Yeah, it's really commendable for sure.
Thank you.
For sure. So, back to like you guys opening up your own shop. I mean, what made you guys come up with the name Bound? As opposed to traditional like or going a traditional route where some people they can just franchise an already existing company like Starbucks, for example, or the Coffee Bean. What made you guys want to create Bound, and kind of tell us about the name, the brand a little bit?
Okay. Do you want me to? I can start with why we decided to go the kind of private route rather than doing franchises. And for us, since I've been in coffee for about 10 years and she's been in it for 3 years, I feel like we have already a good solid foundation of like what we need to do, and I mean,
you don't need anybody else's.
With the franchises, I mean, they charge, I think, like typically 8% fee. So I mean, right there, that's your margin right there. And coffee is really the margins are super thin. If you're doing like 12 to 15%, you are doing amazing. So I mean, think about a franchise taking 8% and now you're left with pretty much nothing.
Right.
So I mean, there's just no way. It doesn't make financial sense for us. So we're pretty confident we could have done it our own way.
Right. And so Maria, can you tell us about like the name that you guys chose as far as being Bound?
So I think after we decided that we're gonna do this, the name obviously was like, oh my god, like what are we gonna name it?
Right.
So I think one night we spent hours just sitting there, and we had a board that we would just write anything that just came to mind, just write it, and then we had like, I don't even know. I kept the board because
You still have it?
Yeah, I still have it. I didn't want to throw it away.
Memorabilia
Yeah,
piece.
exactly. So we went through it, and then we started kind of like crossing certain things off, like what kind of sounded weird or what just didn't make sense. And then we narrowed it down to like a few, and we both like wrote down our top 3, and then Bound was both in our
it was like
top
1 or
3.
2.
Nice.
So I think we originally had a different name, but it didn't really go well with people.
Didn't like resonate.
No, and I think for us, like Bound is kind of like, I guess, our promise to our customers and our employees that we're like kind of binding our promise, like we're gonna do right with our employees, we're gonna treat them well, we're gonna do right with our guests, we're gonna treat them well, and just kind of go from there. And like we also want to bring together community culture. We want to showcase different cultures, different preparations in our store, so like that's also part of it as well.
So just to kind of like how Bound is like bringing something together. So
right.
how like coffee brings all of us together
Right.
and kind of like having that experience and stuff like that. So, and it just sounded better, like one word.
Right.
Bound. There isn't really anything, because
Right.
if you think of Bound, it's like you don't know what it is.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious coffee shop.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, whoa.
So
That would be a very long.
Right?
Could be interesting. Who knows?
I hate Mary Poppins. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm just saying, as far as names,
Oh.
I get that, because that's something I was always curious about when you guys came to us when we used to visit the other coffee shop that you guys were at. And you guys were talking about opening up your own shop and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you guys came up with the word Bound, I was like, oh, that's dope. That's dope. I can't wait for it
awesome.
to open. You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad that
Yeah,
it
thank you.
resonated with you.
Yeah,
It's
it really,
good.
really
Yeah.
did resonate. And that's the reason why I asked, what made you guys come up with that name. It's really, really original. And now that you guys, were able to, talk to us about the reason, it hits a little bit more home. And I'm pretty sure, like, when it comes to the, like how you're saying, Ryan, the people that are going to be in this coffee shop, you want to continuously have that relationship with those customers because you have your regulars.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much saying, look, we're going to show our customers that we're bound to make sure that your customer experience is what it needs to be. And it's based off of the experience that you guys had all these years in coffee.
Keeps us in check too. I mean, every
Yeah.
time I'm in there, I'm going to see Bound, and I'm going to remember that, I made a promise to myself and to my employees and to the guests.
Right.
So.
yeah,
It keeps you guys grounded.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of coffee shops, at least the ones that we have been into, they like have kind of lost sight of that because they see other coffee shops like escalating so fast and everything, so they kind of like drop that because they want to be able to escalate and open all these locations and sell everything online, and that's great. It's having kind of like that following is what you really need, but to kind of forget and like lose your quality and stuff like that, it just you just pretty much turn into like another Starbucks.
Right.
So it's like you lose that. I don't know, like I feel like it's like genuine.
Right.
I feel like it's so fake. And
right.
we've gone into coffee shops, and he's been in for 10 years. I've been in for like 2016, like 4 or 5 years or whatever.
So combined 14 years in.
Yeah, but like
Long
you
time.
go in and you feel like you shouldn't be in there. You feel kind of like it's such a pretentious atmosphere, and you're like, okay, even though I'm in coffee, I feel like I'm inferior or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Sometimes that you don't belong. There's
Like
like
you
this
don't belong.
extra,
This aroma where you're like,
yeah,
oh,
it's weird.
this isn't my vibe.
yeah,
So weird.
It's like
Coffee shops tend to be a little bit more niche. Like, this is our niche. This is the demographic that we're going to. I don't
Exactly.
care about anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like it shouldn't be like a me against you or whatever. It should just be all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you. And obviously, you guys are in the beginning stages of things, and your focus is customer service and the product coffee. But you guys know that there's a lot more that goes into when you're opening up everything. I think Ryan and I were having a conversation before. It's just the paperwork and all the permitting and all that stuff. That's going to take precedence over everything until you guys get open.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, the hardest part so far has just been having patience, because you have to deal with so many different people, and it's tough because you can't really be too rude because it's the city and the health department.
Yeah.
You got to hound them, but ultimately
They're going to go at their own pace.
Whatever they say
Yeah.
goes. Whatever they say goes, and it's a long process. It
Yeah,
really
the
is.
government always works very quickly, and they know what they want, and they know what they're doing.
Oh, they're so efficient. So efficient.
Yeah.
Especially in California, like there's no regulations here, no red tape that we have to step over.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple.
Right.
Simple to run a business.
And going on that, how it's really difficult to get the process started because of like permits from the city and the state and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was curious about, obviously, having a coffee shop like Bound, right? It's not like you guys have a bunch of Keurigs out back there,
No.
popping the Keurig in and like squeezing
What?
it,
Oh,
and then
no.
you know what I mean. What you guys are doing is you guys are roasting you guys' own coffee, and you guys have to get your own coffee beans and stuff like that. Something that I was always intrigued to know more about is where do you even get that stuff?
are you
How do
guys
you
sourcing your
how do you
own
even
coffee?
like
We are, yeah. I mean,
get
we're
to the
not-
point where you have your own coffee bean
Right.
and you're like crushing it down? Like, kind of talk to us about that process.
Yeah, I assume that you guys don't have your own farms in like
No.
Colombia.
Oh, no.
Which
I
would-
mean, it'd be cool.
It would be
Like,
awesome,
yeah.
right?
That would
But-
be the end goal. But
Yeah.
I mean, roasting is fairly new to me. I'm just now learning, so I can't really say that I'm an expert by any means, but there are a lot of coffee marketplaces out there. There's a lot of importers that basically just buy tons of green coffee and then sell it to us, the business owners. There's a huge market for that. There's also the C market, the regular commodities market. Typically for companies like us, we like to pay the farmers a little bit more, just because they work so hard. They work so hard, and they were already not really making any money. So typically in specialty coffee, you have people like us that pay sometimes 4, 5, 6 times over what the current C market is.
And would you say that differentiates yourself from everybody else? Obviously, coffee is a very competitive market. What's going to be the deciding factor? Why am I going to Bound over everybody else?
That's a good question.
It's a really, really good question, and I think it's kind of hard to answer right now just because we haven't really had too many
no, you guys
guests,
again,
but
you're on the beginning stage.
Right, you're in the beginning stages.
Roast of coffee, but
obviously, you guys have those goals set in mind. You guys know, what game plan you guys have going in once those, doors open. You obviously thought about what's going to set us apart from the coffee shop like Starbucks that might be down the street.
I would say that throughout the entire supply chain, we want to ensure that we are not taking advantage of anybody, and we want to pay everybody well. So it starts from the farmers, goes all the way down to the employees. Eventually, my goal is to have a bunch of different stores and then also do a profit sharing program with all of our employees. That way that they can work there and they can feel comfortable, and they could eventually maybe even buy a house.
Similar to like a Winco, they're going to have equity. They're going to want to come to work for you because they're investing in themselves. That's awesome. That's very cool.
It's important because you're not going to have quality guest interaction until you have your employees are just super solid and they're happy to be there.
And I think that's just coming off of a podcast, and we started a little bit opposite. We should have started with the coffee instead of the beer, but we started with the beer, and we're here now. With Arcana. We just recorded on the last episode with Dan, and he has established such community outreach, and his networking skills are fantastic. And just having a brewery that's not just street viewable, he's here in an office space, and he's created such a community around himself, and he's building from the ground up. I see you guys in a similar situation where you're going to create a tight-knit, intimate setting, circle and setting that you're going to be able to replicate that over.
We certainly hope so.
I think that even in the last coffee shop that we were working in, we just met so many people and became friends with so many people too, that they're sitting there waiting when are you guys going to open, because they want to come and see us as well, and we love that. We love that we kind of have a little community already.
That's actually a good start. You guys already have that community. I know I'm going to be there.
We appreciate it.
You guys already have that community of people that are really waiting for you to get that going. And I can only imagine that's something that pushes you guys to continue to make sure that this gets started.
So much.
Because you already know that you have people really looking forward to it. One of the things
a lot of pressure. You've got a lot of people, and you don't want to let any of your friends down. So really,
and then the people that are involved in the whole process where you guys are. I know you guys are in the very beginning, but the contractors, the graphic designer, like how you were saying, Ryan, with establishing a relationship and a partnership with the bean carriers and stuff like that. So you have a lot of people that you have obligations to, and I'm pretty sure that's what pushes you guys to make sure that the shop opens for sure. 100%. One of the things that we do on Millennial Motive is we ask every one of our guests, what is your motive, your true passion, your true motive, your heartfelt feeling of what you do. So I'm going to start with you, Ryan, first. What drives you every day to get up in the morning, to clock in mentally and make sure that things, get started for Bound? So what's your motive?
Coffee, number one, but ultimately, I think that I want to try and change the entire fabric of how food service is handled from, like I said, the top to the bottom. If we can become a model of how businesses that type of business should be run, then I would be so happy. Just because you see so many employees just constantly being taken advantage of. And now, like in today's day and age, like inequality is really like, it's just, I mean, especially like, you know, wealth inequality. It's horrible. So like if I could do as much as I can, if I could like help these people that want to be in this industry and they don't really want to start a business, they don't want to do anything like that, if I could help them like be wealthy, I guess, in a way, or just make enough to just, you know, save their money and invest for the future. Like, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Create that environment where they get up as an employee, you would get up every morning and you would enjoy where you work.
Exactly. I mean, they're a part of the business just as much as I am. They're there every day too. Like, why shouldn't they get any sort of sweat equity or profit sharing? Like, they should, because I won't be anything without them. I can't just be there alone, running the kitchen, running all that stuff. It's just not possible.
Right.
Without them.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to change the whole corporate mindset. Like, these are 100%. Just pawns in my game, and I want to win. No, these guys are these are essential pieces to my puzzle. Like, without them, I'm not going to create a clear picture. And that's great. And you're going to establish, like I said, a tight-knit, family-oriented like group that are coming to work for you every day, and they're going to want to work for you. And I think that's definitely the route that you should take.
I would never want to be just the only person wealthy. There would be no fun in that. I want everybody to have it.
That goes back to Celine, what she was saying. I was
going to say, when you said like they're not just pawns in the game, pawns are actually one of the most powerful chess pieces on the game of chess, because once they get to the end of the board, they can take over any piece that's been lost.
Interesting.
So just tying it back.
So just blowing my analogy.
No, that's awesome though.
That actually fits with your analogy perfectly, because you want the pawns to essentially, if something happens to the king or the queen, you want them to be able to take over for those roles for the time being.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
Right. And what resonated with me as far as what you said, Ryan, when it comes to that is you want them to, you want them to be wealthy, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, you want them to grow with you. But the way that I took what you said also is you want them to be emotionally rich.
Definitely.
That's what I got from that.
Yeah.
You want them to, think to themselves, I don't want to work for any other company because emotionally I'm rich and my roots are grounded with them.
Definitely.
And that's where I feel like you were saying. You
that's a great way to put it. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So what about you, Maria? So what's your motive to get up every morning to mentally clock in, and what motivates you to, continue to do what you do?
I mean, there's a lot there. Like, personally, I just have always wanted to be a part of something that I could be like, this is mine, even though it's not just going to be mine, it's going to be ours, and to just kind of like work towards that, and just know that I'm kind of, we're building something for our future. It's not just a regular barista job that isn't really going to take me anywhere. And I want to be able to meet all kinds of people, whether they work for us or, kind of where we like get stuff from them. And I don't know, I just think that where I am right now is just something that I just wanted to do. I didn't know that I wanted to do until I kind of got into it. And I'm still just kind of figuring that out because, and a lot of people tell me like, oh, you're just 22, like how do you even know, or how are you even doing this? And I'm like, honestly, like I'm doing it thanks to Ryan, and also just because with certain decisions that I made in my life, I just kind of ended up here. Right. And it's something that I really love and something that I just want to be able to keep pursuing. And I have this opportunity to pursue it and to help people who are in the same situation I am, where, they have been managers at very young age, and like how to kind of like deal with that and be able to grow. And not be intimidated just because you're only 20, 21, or 22.
Right. Age is just a number, and instead of building someone else's house, you're building your own, and you're going to be able to live there, and to be at such a young age and to know the difference between that is very
thank you.
Definitely.
It's almost as if you two physically embody the old world coffee culture, like especially for my family. Like you said, Serbian, you said the Turkish coffee. My family were Lebanese.
Oh, cool.
So we have this the exact same coffee culture. It's like you go to the town center. You go there, like you have the old men talking politics in the corner. You have the younger people. You have the younger people. Starting a business in the front. But it's all the whole community is coming together to have at least in Arabic we call it ahwi. So we have them come for the coffee, but it's the community aspect that brings it all together.
Yeah, it's not just the coffee. It's the people. It's like that's like the number one thing.
Yes, people, and like also like not, because I feel like sometimes people come into coffee shops and they ask for like a frappuccino, and then you get like that attitude from the baristas, like, oh, that's not real coffee. You know what I mean? Exactly. So like we don't want people who come in to feel bad that they don't know about the coffee culture. We want them to come in and to learn and taste certain things and see what they like, and just kind of like change that mentality of like, oh, like you're not a barista, you don't know coffee. So I think, and just bringing people together, like you said, like this just what we're all about, because we grew up around coffee and we want other people to appreciate coffee kind of like how we do.
Because what you're doing is, you're like how George was saying, you're bringing back that culture of imagine for a moment, when it comes to coffee, right? In today's day and age, everyone goes to Starbucks, they go to a drive-through, right? And they order a mocha frappo, whatever they call them, right?
Yeah.
And then they're
mocha frappuccino.
and they're on their merry way.
Yeah.
But traditionally, coffee was made for two individuals to sit down in an atmosphere where they feel comfortable and have a decent conversation.
Yeah.
So having that environment is what you guys want to embody. I can definitely tell that. Let me ask you guys something. George and I, we were talking before we got on this podcast, and we wanted to ask a few questions here and there. One of the questions that really resonated me is, I wanted to ask you guys, what would you tell your future self, from this point?
What would you ask
your future self? So whether you guys, let's say you guys are, your future self is successful in Ryan, you're saying you want multiple shops and stuff like that. What would you something you would tell your future self?
Was it worth it? Probably would be the question. Yeah.
What about you, Maria?
Pretty much it.
I feel like that would be, because I mean, other than like, how did you do it? Like how can I do it faster? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I feel like, was it worth it? Because that's one of those things that kind of goes through our minds all the time. It's like, is it worth it? Because we're putting in, time, money, all these people involved, and it's like, well, what if it fails, or what? All these like doubts start coming into your mind. But it's like, you know what? Like, we either do it and then learn from it, or we don't, and then we look back and be like, oh, why didn't we at least try? So,
what's the hardest thing that you guys have come across
so far?
Yeah.
People,
yeah.
for sure. Subcontractors.
Okay.
People from the health department and all that stuff. So every single like stage, you have 10, 15 different people that you have to get through first.
It goes back to the
Everybody
efficiency of government and how California works. So I can certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the government too. It's just subcontractors.
Just people.
Well, you're building a dream. You're building a dream for yourself, and you're trying to relay that information to somebody else that doesn't know.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be like, hey, this is how it needs to be. And they're like, yeah, in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the decision making is really hard too, because I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. So, I mean, you have to make that decision with conviction, Yeah. Right? It's hard to do that.
To have the confidence in yourself in something that you haven't done yet.
Exactly. You can't be indecisive.
Yeah.
There's no.
Well, this is your first shop.
Right.
On number 2, you're gonna know what you're doing. On number 3, so it just get through this one, rip it off like a band-aid, and just get going.
Hopefully they don't have to rip off any band-aids or anything, because what you guys are saying as far as was it worth it, and what you were saying, Maria, as far as like you're constantly thinking like, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? One of the rules that I mentally live by is without failure, success would never exist.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right. So you have to understand that when it comes to opening up your own shop and being your own boss, like how you guys were saying, and taking that leap of faith, you have to understand that by taking this leap of faith, I'm gonna already experience failures. And if I experience those failures, then I know success is right around the corner. So one of the things I want to ask you guys is, what failures have you guys experienced so far? I know it's still fairly new and everything like that, but like overall 14 years, in coffee, that's a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what are some of the, what would you say some of the failures that you guys experience now that helped you guys to get to this point?
I think
like just in life, like in general, or in the coffee specifically?
Either one, whether it's life or coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of businesses kind of that failed, so I mean, I've done it. I've been there. I know that it happens, and it's just one of those things. You just got to learn from it, like you said, and keep on trucking. That's it. Just make those decisions.
What's one thing that you learned from those failed businesses?
The decisiveness.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you can't wait around. You can't just like sit there and wait around and keep tinkering with stuff. It was one of those things where I was also kind of a perfectionist, and I had to kind of learn that there's no possible way that you're ever going to reach like perfection ever. And I've kind of made a promise to myself that, if I'm doing anything like that, once I'm like 80% happy with kind of where I'm at, then just roll with it.
Wow.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, cool, on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's very useful information for someone that's going into business. Yeah. Because we're starting a food cart, me and my business partner, and we have that same like mentality. Like we want things to be perfect.
Yeah.
Personally, I do, and then it takes longer.
Yeah.
Because nothing's gonna get done unless you make a decision. This is the kind of food that we're gonna go with.
Exactly.
This is the menu that we're gonna do, and if you don't come to those conclusions sooner rather than later, you're losing out on money that you could be making.
Right, you're losing out on money, and not only that, you're losing out on the time to start. At the end of the day, all of us only have a certain amount of time to live, right? Let's be real with that. So the longer you wait when it comes to making a decision to just drop something in the bucket and see if something happens. The when it comes to the time that you have to spend to actually grow it, that's why it like how Celine was saying, money is a seed. You have to plant it. So in other words, you have to plant it somewhere. You have to plant an idea that you have in your head, and you have to put it into reality. Absolutely. If you don't ever put it into reality, you're not going to ever get anywhere, because you'll be constantly thinking about the ideas over and over and over again to try to quote unquote perfect it. And you'll never ever get started.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think another thing that I kind of took away was like, not taking a risk is a risk like in itself. So like you gotta just do it, because you're never gonna know.
Right.
And you lose out from feedback too if you don't like put certain things out there. Like, how do you know how the people are gonna react to it? It's just you think it's perfect, or you think it's kind of there, but then it goes out into the world and it's absolutely like nothing you expected. So you have to be able to learn from that feedback and take it and change.
Right, and I 100% understand where you're coming from, because as a real estate agent, that's some of the things that I even do. I would consider myself a perfectionist too. When it comes to the way that I want to market and advertise, what county I want to, what's called geographic farming, which means I want to attack 500 homes in an area. Do I want to, go into Temecula and Marietta only, or do I want to go in Lake Elsinore, or do I want to go, more northern Cal, and it's one of those things where you have to just make your mind up. You have to say, okay, you got to stop overthinking and just make something happen.
Definitely.
So I understand where you're coming from with that. What about you, Maria? As far as what I was saying, as far as like failures, what failures have you learned from that allowed you to get to
honestly, I think, and this might sound kind of cheesy, but I think it's just like believing in myself, because there have been many times where something would go wrong and I just didn't know how to kind of fix it, because I just didn't know. So I just had to just be able to just believe in myself, and like you said, like just make the decision on what to do. And I think a lot there have been times where I've just been not very as confident as I should have been, and that kind of held me back on stuff that could have happened either much faster or much better. And I think that just has to do with just being so young, and just being, because as back then when I was like 20, managing people, like I had people who were my age, who were much older than me, like in their 50s. It's like, how do you manage someone who is like 30 years older than you?
How do you have that confidence?
Exactly, and how do you gain that respect from people to take you seriously? So I think that is what kind of that was like kind of my struggle. Even to this day, like I still struggle with that. Like how, when we open, like how am I going to get these people to respect me? Because I'm not, I don't just work here just like they do. Like I have to like establish that authority, and I'm just so timid and just scared. So it's like,
I think as a manager, even just a business owner, there's that sense of fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like there have been times where I just had to like pretend like I had this like hard exterior and everything, and then I would just like turn around and be like, oh my god. I remember the first time I fired someone, I could not stop shaking. And I didn't, because I'd never fired someone before, I couldn't really think that I could, because like I think the person who was being fired, like they were my age or something, or they're a little bit older or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. I didn't want that kind of like confrontation.
Right. Because in your mind, you said he or she was in the same age group. So you're like, this is somebody that's literally on the same playing ground as me.
Yeah.
So how can I, judge and stuff like that? So, but that's the thing when it comes to, Bound, right? You guys' coffee shop that you guys are going to be opening up. The good thing is you guys are going to be able to, because you're going based off of your employer, right?
Yeah.
Your employer was, hey, I want you to be this way.
Yeah.
But the good thing about you guys opening up your own shop is you guys get to run it however you want to run it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to be, that hardcore, boss type of mentality, because you're not working for anyone.
Yeah.
You're working for yourself.
Yeah.
So you get the chance to, like how Ryan was saying, treat your employees and treat, your management staff, or treat, your customers the way that you want to treat them, which is, being yourself.
Yeah.
So
I think that goes. It has gone beyond even just like employees and coworkers, because like, I don't know. I just, that confidence of like, can I really do it? Like, because I've had family members just laugh at the idea that I'm a manager, and that would piss me off so much, because it's like, why do you think that I can't do it? You know what I mean? It's like my family. Like, why?
You got something to prove now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like that kind of like, it just like hits your insecurities, and you're like, okay, then maybe I can't do it, So I think that has always kind of been my struggle, and it's definitely gone better, but I think in that way I've kind of like failed and then picked back up again, because sometimes I would be too aggressive, and then it'd be like, oh, I just
Well, that's just learning where the line's going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as an empathetic person, and trying to be as empathetic to people's circumstances as possible, but also understanding that there needs to be a level of professionalism in the workplace, and finding out where that line is not just a one-track shot. You're going to know. You're going to have to throw the dart a few times before you hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
Right.
And even then, it shifts. We're in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
The ways of growing a business and treating employees and customers has changed dramatically over the past decade. But the good thing is you were able to overcome those fears clearly, because now look at where you guys are at. You guys open up your own shop. Which is fearful all of its own. It's funny, you guys don't necessarily fear the fact that you guys are going to be opening up a new shop at all. That's what I'm getting from right now. Like you guys seem super, super excited and pumped.
That you're gonna have great products. You're gonna have great products.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, it's not to say that we may not fail, but I mean, I'm honestly not worried about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Super confident.
Yeah.
And Maria and I, we're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I feel like we just are so great together that I feel like if we were doing it separately, like if maybe we just didn't even know each other, we probably wouldn't even be doing it in the first place.
You guys have a great support system.
You guys have a good foundation.
Yeah.
Sure, and that's where allowed you guys to get to where you guys are at now. And the fact that you guys are, as life partners, able to, come in on it together too. That's truly amazing, because you guys are able to, on a day-to-day basis, bounce back and forth ideas and continue to grow. Bound to where you guys want it to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it all happened kind of organically, because I mean, we would talk about stuff like this, like when we would be working together, if we had a coffee shop, we'd put this there, that there, and then it kind of started getting more serious, and after we decided to quit, we we're like, all right, like it's our time to go.
Right,
so,
let's do this.
Yeah. So
you guys took that leap of faith.
Yeah, we definitely like outgrew that space, and we knew that we couldn't go any higher or do any like much more in that space, and so then we just knew that we just had to.
You grew out of that mentality of working under somebody.
Yeah.
You know, you said, look, why work under somebody when I can, you know, work for myself?
Yeah.
How you were saying, how you guys were saying earlier.
Yeah.
You're in a different tier now. Like there's a lot of people that are saying the exact same things that you are.
Right.
Oh, let's do this, and they never take
never
that.
do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
never
you know,
get started,
there's a lot of things that go into it. Like we have, you know, we're very fortunate, and we have the opportunity to be able to even like afford to do it, because it you know, it's an expensive thing, and a lot of people, you know, have the dream, but they don't have kind of like that.
Money rules the world. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, putting it in perspective, most people our age are dealing with like 6-figure student loan debt. So I mean,
yeah, and see that's the thing. Like with my family, I stopped going to school, and they were not happy about that. You know, they were not happy about that. I mean, I guess they don't really know that I stopped going to school, but I mean, I haven't been in like a year. Now they know. But I mean, it's not because I didn't want to be educated or anything, but I just saw that, you know, what I was really investing myself in, and what I was passionate about was coffee. You know, I wasn't going to school, and I do want to finish school and everything, but I just know that I can't miss out on this opportunity. I can't just be like, oh, sorry, Ryan. I'm just
it's in you guys' gut and heart feeling, and that passion, that driving force. You know, you guys know that hands down, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
The best way to learn about business. Yeah, the best way to learn about business is to run one. So like, you're not going to learn that in school. They point to people running different businesses. Okay, this is how he ran his, and how he runs his business is different than how you want to run yours. So
it's funny because I have like friends who are taking business and everything, and I've gone to like lunch or whatever with them, and then they like sit, they're like, oh, like in my marketing class, like they taught me this, and this, and it's just like I was sitting there like listening to them, and I felt it was so weird. It felt like they were trying to sell me something. You know, like it was like a pyramid scheme, and I'm like,
you know, they had to validate the fact that they went to school.
Yeah, exactly. And then like when you try to be like, well, like, you know, that's not really how it goes. It's like, well, my teacher, well, my teacher like does this, and this. I'm like, okay, like that's great.
And not owning a business.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's kind of like, education is very important, and I do eventually want to be able to finish school, but like you said, there's no great teacher than the actual experience. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
When they come out of school, they're going to learn the ultimate lesson and get slapped in the face by life. Several times over. And there's nothing bad about education. Everybody should educate themselves and continue to do so. It's
just know that's coming.
Never let your schooling. Mark Twain said it. And sorry to cut you off, but like Mark Twain, never let your schooling interfere with your education.
Yeah.
So never let what you learn in the classroom override what you learn in the real world.
Exactly.
Continue. I didn't mean to cut you
off. Oh no, and it's gone now. The thought's gone, and it probably wasn't that good of a point, anyways.
Well, I mean, you're just saying that education is super important.
Yeah.
People should do it, but right now it costs a lot of money.
It does, and that's the thing. That's where it came down for me. It's like nobody was paying for my school like I was paying for school. So it's like,
me too.
You know, it comes to the point where it's a few $1,000s, you know, on top of paying for school, like I have to pay for rent and for my car and all that stuff. And it's like, instead of stressing myself out with like 4 jobs, like I could keep it at one and then just do something that will actually benefit me maybe more than what school could.
It's making a decision. Like you have to make.
Because I mean, just because you go to school doesn't mean you get a degree. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed that you even do anything with your life.
Exactly.
Preaching.
I know, right? We're preaching the truth.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, so you guys are going to be opening up. Do you have a time frame or a timeline on when you guys want to open up those doors? You're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, if I told you yes, I would be lying. So I don't really know. Honestly, we hope to be open within the next 2 to 3 months, depending on how permitting goes and corrections. And then
it's been a lot slower.
Well, building upon that, like, is there anything that we can do or anybody else can do to help you along that process, or is there anything that you want to plug in the meantime?
Yeah. So when it comes to this podcast, it's definitely a sounding board for others that are viewing this to get to know what it is that you guys are doing and eventually network with you guys long term too. So that being said, now is definitely the time to plug your guys' social media, and things of that nature. So
yeah, I mean, our Instagram is Bound by Coffee, because that's kind of like our little tagline, and pretty much all of our social media is going to be Bound by Coffee. We just hope that people come in and kind of get to know us and get to know the spot. We are both not very good at social media, so we definitely want to reach out to people who can make little videos for us, take pictures, kind of promote us a little bit more.
Exactly. Local people.
We would love to have even local musicians, to play once in a while.
Art,
we're very open.
Nice little community.
Yeah,
nice.
We definitely want to help fellow small businesses as well.
Right.
Exactly.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Any and all small businesses.
Any and all small businesses, definitely.
Really, you should I think that people should take a long, hard look at the type of businesses that they support.
Yeah.
And really do your research, see what the company's all about, what is their ethos, and really, I mean, we should start scrutinizing the ones that aren't making good decisions.
Yeah.
And supporting the ones that are really trying their best to give the community and the people a good life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I view this podcast. It goes right into what you were saying, Ryan, as far as everyone communicating with each other within our age group, older or younger, that we're all in this together as entrepreneurs, right? So knowing that every entrepreneur like you guys that are starting off is in the same boat.
Yeah.
Why not help each other?
Definitely.
So definitely. So again, what's that Instagram? So it's
Bound by Coffee.
Bound by Coffee, and you guys are on Facebook and stuff like that too yet? Or?
We
not
have
yet, but we
Instagram
will.
and Twitter.
Twitter.
We don't have
we're building our site right now.
Yeah, we're building our website right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
No worries. We're going to continue to update. We're growing with you guys.
Definitely.
So whenever we get the opening date, whenever you guys have your grand opening, we're going to push that out.
Definitely.
We appreciate you coming on here, telling your story.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to touch base back with you in about a year or two. Probably going to be recording in your coffee shop.
Yeah.
That
would be great.
Love that.
All right. So that being said, guys, thank you for coming on Millennial Motive. Until next time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.